Hillary Clinton's email scandal had been fading from the headlines when the State Department's Inspector General issued a stinging report.
But the report specifically says the State Department did not and would not have approved your exclusive reliance on a personal email account. So here's the question. Did you break the rules?
Well, Wolf, you know, this report makes clear that personal email use was the practice under other secretaries of state, and the rules were not clarified until after I had left.
Yesterday's State Department IG report was pretty scathing, and it seemed to contradict many of the things you said about the emails.
Well, Chuck, the report makes clear that personal email use was the practice under other secretaries of state.
We're back with the panel. Lisa Booth, Wolf Blitzer, Chuck Todd weren't the only ones who were pressing Hillary Clinton on this issue. Do you see a change in the media's tone on this email question?
Well, I think for now, I mean, I think that's going to change as the election progresses here, and I think they're going to get a little bit softer on Hillary Clinton. But I think right now, no, I think the criticism was well deserved. And you look at the Washington Post editorial, and it was scathing towards Hillary Clinton, but she deserves it. I mean, what she did was outside of the protocol of the State Department, and she broke protocol. She broke rules.
Penny, the Washington Post and the New York Times both had pretty tough editorials, and these are liberal editorial pages, obviously slamming her. Is it fair to say that the liberal media basically aren't buying Hillary Clinton's explanations in the wake of this IG report?
I think the media has been going at this issue for a very long time. You've seen this story being covered for more over than 12 months. And so it hasn't been something that they have avoided. They are asking the appropriate questions. There is a new report that came out that did warrant these questions. So yes, I think it was appropriate in the role in which the media played was to have those questions asked.
People forget the story was originally broken by the New York Times more than a year ago, Susan Freccio, but it had kind of run out of gas in recent months. I think when it was covered, the coverage seemed incremental because we don't know what's going on with the FBI investigation. So why the striking change here? Is it just because there's a new report, or is it also because she seems to be sticking to her talking points on this?
I actually think the media knows its credibility is on the line here, that the media is not trusted anymore, and the mainstream media is aware of this. And they're giving I think this is bare minimum coverage, in my opinion, even though they did cover what came out this week because they had to. The mainstream media can play this up as much as they want or as little as they want. If she were a Republican, can you imagine the swarms of reporters who would be keeping this out in the press every single day? I honestly believe the coverage would be a lot different if she had an R after her name.
Yeah, because there has not been a lack of coverage on this issue. And so, I mean, to say it's kind of one of those things that there's only so much news you can report on, so there hasn't been any new news per se. So this report did beg some of the questions that are being asked, but this has been long chronicled in the report.
But to Susan's point, if this was a Republican, they would be asked to step down. They would be forced to step down. There's absolutely no...
You can't make that leap. You can't make that leap.
By the media. Yes, absolutely. If you have a candidate who is facing a criminal investigation by the FBI, there is absolutely...
What is she stepping down from?
Way.
What is she stepping down? She's a private citizen.
She's the first candidate in history to be facing a federal investigation by the FBI. There is absolutely... You look at the slightest scandals with Republicans, even if it's a sex scandal, whatever it is, they are forced to step down. Republican leadership
calling for Donald Trump to step down? Because some of his past allegations?
But what has he done that's criminal in nature?
What has he done that's been criminal?
She's facing a federal criminal investigation by the FBI. Donald Trump is not.
Yes, she is under criminal investigation. She's also presumed innocent, at least in a legal sense, not necessarily in a political sense. And she's also, although she can't shake Bernie Sanders, she's winning these primaries, and so I don't know that it's the media's role to ask any candidate to step down, even Bernie Sanders, because he's not winning. Before we go, Mrs. Clinton has been asked in various interviews about the Vince Foster business, about her husband's sex life. She always seems to deflect it. I always say, you know, maybe that's a smart strategy. I always say she has trouble making news. I mean, Trump is this news tornado, and she's like a breeze. Is that a problem, anybody?
Yeah, I think Trump's hitting below the belt, she's hitting above the belt, and he's been more successful with his below-the-belt punches. It's getting more attention. No one's talking about the fact that she says he's not qualified. They're all talking about him criticizing him over the Vince Foster and all Clinton's affairs.
On the other hand, Hillary Clinton, above the belt, as you say, made a major push this week about Donald Trump once having said he liked the idea of the housing market collapsing because he could make more money. That was like a one-day story.
Right. I mean, isn't the responsibility to maybe lift the debate up into the upper register so that we do talk about more policy and not make it about the politics of personalities?
Well,
I think that's
she should also be called out for that, though, because Bill Clinton was the one that rewrote the rules to the Community Reinvestment Act, which helped lead and spearhead, helped lead us towards the housing bubble and the financial crisis.
That's a perfectly good debate.
But she's not being called out for that.
That's a perfectly good debate. But my point is that here is, you have some words that in retrospect might seem a little embarrassing for Donald Trump. He was a businessman entitled to make money any way he could, foreclosures and that sort of thing. But how much media oxygen has that gotten compared to the latest sexual allegations?
Well, and to answer your point, I mean, think if you look at the juxtaposition between the way that Hillary Clinton handles the media and the way that Donald Trump handles the media, that's going to be problematic for Hillary Clinton, because this is a guy who, as I mentioned before, earned $2 billion in free media in the Republican primary, and this is a woman who went months without even talking to the press for a period of time.
He did earn that media, and some of it was not so favorable. All right, Lisa Booth, Penny Lee, Susan Frishio, great to see you.